All right. Johnson & Johnson rolls out its new vaccine today. Shipments have started today. If I could get the prompter set, that would be wonderful, guys. All right, but first we're going to go straight to weather and check out our mild Monday forecast.
Tell you what, first day of March couldn't be better than what we're going to experience today, as we'll have highs just about where we should be this time of year. Interesting thing I want to point out, our yearly precipitation is sitting at 4.36 inches. That goes back to January 1. You know how far we are off from our historical average? 1/100th of an inch. It's just amazing how Mother Nature does that. Cloud cover keeping off to the southeast of us, very clear, just absolutely perfect start to March as our temperatures have already pushed up into the mid to high 40s. As far as our forecast for today, by the time it's all said and done, up into the mid 50s. Like I said, our average high this time of year, about 55 degrees. Now that northeast breeze is going to shift overnight. And so despite the fact that we slip right back to the freezing point, the wind is going to shift to the south. And so what that's going to do is actually bring us some warmer temperatures here by the middle of the week. Whole lot of Gulf moisture beginning to rise up, just about getting close to astronomical spring, of course. And so back into the 50s tomorrow with a whole lot of sunshine. All the precipitation that we talked about over the weekend, it looks like it's going to stay down to the southeast of us. We don't even see anything coming up through northwest Arkansas. So that is absolutely perfect. And by the time we get into Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be talking about temperatures that are going to make it up into the 60s. Coming up here in just a little bit, we will talk about statewide tornado drills tomorrow, 10 a.m. Reason we're going to do that, number one, it's preparedness week. Number two, no threat of severe weather. It's the perfect time for everybody to be prepared, but at the same time, not fret and fear. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. Back to our top story. The third vaccine approved for use in the United States, but the first that requires only one dose. Clinical trials for the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 Foundation vaccine found it was slightly less effective than the Moderna and Pfizer shots overall, but showed 85% efficacy against severe illness. On CBS This Morning today, Johnson & Johnson's CEO pointed out that some of its participants had the variant that originated in South Africa, and the vaccine still prevented all of them from being hospitalized or dying. Not only does the vaccine only require a single dose, it also does not need to be stored in extreme cold temperatures, making it easier to distribute. White House's COVID response team says the spread of new coronavirus variants remains a concern, even as vaccine distribution is going up. Madeline Rivera has more details from Capitol Hill, where Congress is still debating the president's coronavirus relief plan.
These masks will be available at more than...
President Biden's top health officials say that even though coronavirus cases are falling, now is not the time to become complacent about the virus.
As these cases are coming down, the thing we don't want is for them to do this and start plateauing at a level that'll give us a lot of trouble.
And they say that even with the approval of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, there is still a lot of work to do to make sure every American can get a shot.
You got to have people to get those vaccines into the arms of individuals. And we're employing National Guards and others, retired physicians and nurses, etc.
More money to help ramp up vaccine distribution is just one part of President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package, which the Senate will begin taking up this afternoon.
President Biden's Relief Act is all Repair Act is all about going big. We go big on unemployment benefits, on opening schools and putting shots in people's arms and money in people's pockets.
But Republicans say they won't support the plan because it's too expensive.
We're not going to go waste Americans' money. We have $27 trillion worth of debt. You see interest rates are going up. Inflation is coming back. It's caused because of government spending.
Democrats have abandoned a plan to increase the minimum wage by taxing corporations that don't pay their employees at least $15 an hour. Madeline Rivera, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Democratic aides working on the legislation say that adding the corporate tax proposal would take too long. They're hoping to bring the COVID relief plan to the floor for a vote on Wednesday or Thursday so that President Biden can sign it into law by March 14th when expanded unemployment benefits expire. Well, this year's Golden Globes Awards show went off with a few glitches, but plenty of humorous and touching moments. Amy Poehler and Tina Fey hosted the mostly virtual show from opposite sides of the country, with nominees dialed in remotely. CBS's Chris Martinez reports there was a good amount of diversity among the winners, including the most emotional win of the night. He reports from Los Angeles.
Chadwick Boseman.
The late Chadwick Boseman's award for Best Actor in a Drama in the film Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was just the second posthumous win in that category in Golden Globes history. His tearful widow accepted on his behalf.
He would say something beautiful, something inspiring, something that would amplify that little voice inside of all of us that tells you you can.
Last night's Golden Globes adapted to pandemic reality and also filled its audience with first responders and essential workers. Hosts Tina Fey in New York and Amy Poehler in Beverly Hills poked fun at the technical challenges.
It's going to be smooth sailing. You won't even notice.
Moments later, no one could hear Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture, Daniel Kaluuya.
Can you hear me now? All right, cool. We've got this.
4 black actors were honored, including Andra Day for her portrayal of Billie Holiday.
Black women are so dynamic, and we have so many amazing layered stories.
Chloe Zhao's film, Nomadland, won for Best Motion Picture Drama.
Oh my God.
She's only the second female director and the first Asian woman to win Best Director.
The Crown.
Netflix's The Crown nabbed most of the major television awards, including Josh O'Connor for his portrayal of Prince Charles.
I'm trying to work out how best to fall asleep after these press calls. I don't think I'll be able to because I'm so excited.
And TV legend Norman Lear was honored for his life's work.
I am convinced that laughter adds time to one's life.
Lear added he's never lived or laughed alone. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Golden Globe executives vowed to increase diversity in its own ranks. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which hands out the awards, has no black journalist among its 87 members. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon.
Britain's Prince Philip has moved to another hospital. I'm Ian Lee with why doctors say the Queen's husband won't be released anytime soon.
And later we're making a chicken and veggie skillet in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Britain's Prince Philip was moved to another hospital today for heart treatment. Queen Elizabeth's husband was first hospitalized last month. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with an update on his condition.
An ambulance and umbrellas blocking the view were the first clues Prince Philip was on the move. Buckingham Palace confirms the 99-year-old Duke of Edinburgh was transferred to another London hospital Monday. This one specializes in cardiovascular care. Doctors will run tests on the royal for a pre-existing heart condition and continue to treat him for an ongoing infection. It's been nearly 2 weeks since Queen Elizabeth's husband was first admitted to the hospital for an illness not related to COVID-19. Both the Duke and the Queen were vaccinated earlier this year. Prince Philip has been in and out of the hospital a number of times over the past decade, but this is his longest stay yet. Palace officials say he's comfortable and responding to treatment. Last week, Prince Philip's youngest son, Prince Edward, said his father's spirits were high.
He's looking forward to getting out, which is the most positive thing, so we keep our fingers crossed.
Heir to the throne, Prince Charles has also visited his father. The palace expects the Duke to stay in the hospital until at least the end of the week. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Prince Philip retired from royal duties in 2017 and is rarely seen in public. He's just 3 months away from his 100th birthday. I hope he recovers. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
It's March, and you know what that means. It's Frozen Food Month, and there couldn't be a better time to take advantage of all that our freezer aisle has to offer.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Interesting, I was just having a conversation with our corporate engineer, Bill Vickery, who was asking me, what's the big thing about March 1? Well, it happens to be the beginning of Emergency Preparedness Week from the National Weather Service. And by the time we get to the 7-day forecast, we're going to talk about the importance of that here in the 4 states. With the time being, our March 1st starts off absolutely gorgeous, and our temperature is going to be right on par from where they traditionally would be, with an average high of 55 and 33. Now, speaking of averages, that yearly precipitation dating back to January 1 is off by a whopping 1/100th of an inch. Now, if we date back to 2020, we actually were in excess of 6 inches of that time this year. Now, another thing as well, you have to remember, astronomical spring. Now, that doesn't start until March 20th when we have the spring equinox, but here, for record-keeping purposes, we call March 1 the beginning of meteorological spring. Tanya throwing her arm up over there. That was very nice of you to remember that. 49 is where we stand in Joplin, 48 in Parsons, and 46 in Nevada. So temperatures very, very close together. And really the reason we're not going to see the big warm up until the middle of the week is because our winds come in from the north still. No big gusts. We were actually sitting at about 25 miles per hour in Grove and Joplin early this morning, but now we're back down to single digits, and the SKYWATCH storm tracker clean as can be. That's a good thing, because look at what's down to our southeast. Got a little mess on our hands. It's rolling through Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Thunderstorm activity. Like I said, this is the beginning of Severe Weather Emergency Preparedness Week. So while we'll actually be okay for our tornado drills tomorrow morning, this is going to be an area of the country where they are not allowed to do them. That's because our thunderstorm outlook for the next 2 days is going to roll right through the Gulf. I think the important thing to notice is when we looked at it this weekend, we saw a little bit of movement to the north. Not going to be the case, but they are going to have to put up with flood warnings through the Tennessee River Valley, up through the Ohio River Valley, and then that thing's going to make its way all the way to the northeastern portion of the United States. It's we were talking about this morning. In some form or fashion, you can go from New Mexico all the way through the Gulf up to Maine and Canada, and you're going to find precipitation. So the fact that we stay everything to our southeast, good news for us, because there was a chance it was going to try to scoot to the north, but I think we're going to be okay. So as we push future track through Tuesday, there you go. You got to get on the other side of the Mississippi River right there through Memphis. We're going to be looking fine back into the 50s. And actually, a nice warming front is what's going to hit us for Wednesday and Thursday. Gulf moisture pushes up. However, cold front recedes, so we don't get the collision course, able to have just a marvelous first week of March. We're in the 60s on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, we are going to see some widespread rain, but at the same point in time, since we're talking about emergency preparedness and severe weather season, we're not looking at anything severe on Friday, just some showers. As we push into the weekend, sunny and close to 60 on Saturday, more sunshine and mild Sunday at 60. Tanya, do you want to point out, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., that's where we're going to have statewide tornado drills in Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma. All 4 states. Great time to sit down, talk to your kids about it. Also a great time at home to get together that kit. Make sure you got what you need. And this is kind of a hay-slip thing that I like to point out. Never forget to put an extra pair of shoes in your emergency kit.
Because inevitably, if something happens in the middle of the night, you either don't know where your shoes are or you're not wearing them.
Right. Take that old pair of tennis shoes that you have that you're like, oh, these are my yard shoes. Oh, I don't need these shoes. Put that in your emergency preparedness kit. It's amazing how those come in so often if something were to happen.
One thing our staff in our newsroom is working on today is updating a complete listing of storm shelters in the 4-state area, and you'll be able to find those on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And we're going to do this the entire week. We're going to hammer this home until the cows come home.
All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Private First Class Orville Burkhart in the U.S. Army. Soldier from Racine, Missouri, joined the 413th Infantry in 1944. He fought in both Germany and France until 1945, earning 3 battle stars. the European Campaign Ribbon, and the Good Conduct Medal. To Private Orville Burkhart, we thank you, our four-state hero. It's National Frozen Foods Month, and we've got a recipe inspired by what you can find in the freezer aisle at your grocery store. Howard shows us a chicken and veggie skillet in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you're getting a bit tired of making or eating the same old thing, then it's time to check out all that the freezer aisle has to offer. And with March being Frozen Food Month, whether you shop the aisles, use curbside pickup, or have your groceries delivered from your local market, there's no better time than right now to take advantage of all the sales and options. In these aisles, we can find all sorts of items that can help us get breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even dessert on the table in no time. And whether it's veggies or fruits, ready-to-cook meats, fish, chicken, or even plant-based proteins, we'll find lots of easy-to-use options where all the work is done for us. You know, it's like having our own prep cook at home. For those of us who miss dining out, no problem, because we can find restaurant fancy meals as well as dishes from around the world. And if you prefer heat and eat options, let me tell you, there's no shortage of those. From hot out-of-the-oven pizza to rise and shine favorites, to ones we can simply pop in our microwave that couldn't be simpler or tastier. And this year, we're finding so many new items, which are certainly a welcome addition with all the cooking we're doing these days. Look at this, a ready-to-heat meal, which starts with a handful of freezer shortcut that's ready in under 15 minutes. And there's only one pan to wash. To get the recipe for what we call our chicken and veggie skillet, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, and maybe we'll run into each other in the freezer aisle. And if we do, I can't think of a more welcoming way to say, ooh, it's so good.
Looks like Howard's been doing a little redecorating. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Voting is happening now for the four-state.
Beautiful beginning to March as temperatures will maintain 50 degrees with plenty of sunshine. And as we work into the middle of the week, we're going to have temperatures bumping up into the 60s. Real selfish, real fast. I want to thank everybody coming out to the Polar Plunge on Saturday supporting SEK Special Olympics. Now, back to Tanya and Dow.
All right, Dow, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, a whole lot for starters. State and federal moratoriums on evictions are expected to expire in the next few months, putting an estimated 30 to 40 million Americans at risk of being evicted. We're going to have that story in Consumer Watch. Plus, day one of Joplin's expired mask mandate and what a local business plans to do moving forward. And check out a new Joplin business where you can sip on coffee and chill with cats. Join us for those stories, a lot more. It's all coming up on KOAM News at 5.
Sounds interesting. All right, thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.